Well, good morning, everyone. Nice to see such a big crowd here. Call this meeting to order at 9:30, and I will confirm that our municipal clerk, as well as all members of council, are here at the meeting. The territorial land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the township of Alma-Calderman is located on the Mississauga-Anishinaabeg territory and is the traditional territory of the Mississaugan-Anishinaabeg. The township of Alma-Calderman respectively acknowledges that the Mississauga nations are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure the health and integrity for generations to come. I've been advised there's three additional items to be approved in the agenda. Do you have the details on those? Are they all enclosed or not? And they deal with the first one is Haldeman Community Arena Complex Food Service Operator. That was it. And the closed session. So before we approve the agenda, I have to get approval that those be added. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Booth. All in favor? That motion's carried. And then I'll read the motion that the agenda for the municipal planning / regular council meeting held on May 27th, 2025 with addendums be approved. Mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Councillor Booth. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Next, we move on to disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mayor Logal, I'll be declaring pecuniary interest on agenda item 11.3, and it has to do with the, just get it here, the Roseneath General Store.
Thank you. I also have to declare a conflict of interest, and it deals with the 11-2, the old Danforth subdivision, and my property butts onto that, so I'll be stepping away to stay out of that, and you'll have to take over, Deputy Mayor. Anybody else have anything to declare? Seeing none, we're going to move on to the approval of the minutes. And I don't think we have any to approve. Okay. So we're going to move on further on then to reconvene or move to adjourn to a land division / community of adjustment meeting. So I'll need a mover and a seconder, and I'll read it off that the committee of the Township of Alma, Council of the Township of Alma-Calderman, being the Land Division Committee / Committee of Adjustment, moved to a Land Division Committee of Adjustment meeting at, it's supposed to be 9:34 a.m. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. And then we're going to go to the green ones. And I will, first of all, I'll call the meeting together at 9:35. And I will confirm that the Secretary Treasurer for the Land Division Committee is here, as well as all members of the committee. Read the territorial land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the Township of Alma-Calderman is located on the Mississauga-Anishinaabeg territory and is the traditional territory of the Mississauga-Anishinaabeg. The Township of Alma-Calderman respectfully acknowledges that the Mississaugan Nation are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. Motion to approve the agenda. that the agenda for the Committee of Adjustment / Land Division Committee meeting be held on May 27th, 2025 be approved. Could I get a mover? Moved by Committee Member Stover, seconded by Committee Member O'Neill. Any discussion? All in favor? That motion's carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest. Seeing none, that'll be noted. And the next item is approval of the minutes. And these are the minutes from the Land Division Committee / Committee of Adjustment dated April 22nd, 2025. Onto there. And I'll read the motion, prepared motion that the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment Land Division Committee held on April 22nd, 2025 be approved. Any questions or comments regarding that? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion's carried. I don't believe was there any business arising from those previous minutes? Seeing none, thank you. We're going to move on to item 7, which is consents. And the first application for consent is Joanne and Congestion Bonnebacker, Homebaker, AH 052025. Tracy, do you want to take us through that?
Yes, good morning. Thank you through the chair. The purpose of the application is to sever a lot addition to 100 McLean Road on the northwest corner of Wilson Drive and McLean Road. There's a single detached dwelling and agricultural buildings on the benefiting lands. There are no buildings and structures on the lands to be severed, which are currently cash cropped. Both the proposed severed and benefiting lands will remain in the Oak Ridges Moraine countryside zone. The balance of the retained lands will remain in the Oak Ridges countryside and Oak Ridges environmental plan review zones. The lot addition will add 4.39 hectares or 10.85 acres to the 3.97 hectare or 9.81 acre benefiting parcel. The lands to be added are currently vacant agricultural lands that are part of a larger agricultural property with croplands and a single detached dwelling. Surrounding land uses appear to be agricultural with dwellings located on the north and south of the subject property. The provincial policy statement, the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan, the county's official plan, and the township's official plan all consider lot line adjustments for legal or technical reasons. However, the adjustment must not result in the creation of a lot that is undersized for the purpose which it is being used. Section 13 of the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan states the intention of countryside designation is to promote agricultural and other rural uses by protecting prime agricultural areas and promoting and protecting agricultural and other rural lands and normal farm practices. Residential development and the creation of new lots are prohibited in the countryside area. The proposed severed lands are quite large, given that they are currently being used for agricultural purposes, and the benefiting parcel is also being used for agriculture. The proposed severance is consistent with the PPS and conforms with the county and Alnwick Haldeman official plan. Subject lands that are subject to the addition were zoned Oak Ridges Moraine countryside, which is consistent with the zone of the benefiting parcel. Therefore, the proposal is in compliance with the zoning bylaw. The application was circulated to a number of departments and agencies. There were no concerns from the Public Works or Building Departments or Northumberland County. Ganaraska Region Conservation Authority advised that the property does contain regulated areas and development activities within those areas may require a permit. The proposed new lot configuration will not result in the fragmentation of the floodplain or a provincially significant wetland on the retained lands. On that basis, they have no objection to the approval. The Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board also had no concerns with the proposal, and no comments were received from the balance of the circulated agencies. Notice of the application was circulated to all registered owners within 60 meters of the property, and we have heard no comments from the public up until this point. The proposed lot addition is located in the rural part of the municipality. The applicable policies permit the addition for legal and technical reasons. The addition will add approximately 4.39 hectares of agricultural land to a parcel that is also used for agriculture, resulting in 8.36 hectares or 20.67 acres in lot size. The application is consistent with the PPS as noted, and the Oak Ridges Marine Conservation Plan and are the two official plans. Therefore, we're recommending approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from members? Line up a little bit. Thank you. Does any members of council have any questions or comments regarding this application? Members of the public, is there any questions or comments from you regarding this application? And the applicant, is there any questions or comments from the applicant? Thank you. Anybody on the virtually? Does anybody that's on virtually have any questions or comments regarding this application? Thank you. Okay, I'll read the motion then because there's nobody questioning. That application AH052025 by Joanna and Constantine, thank you, sir. Bonnebacker, to sever a parcel for a lot addition in parts lots 31 and 32, concession 3, parts 13, 14, and 15 on 39R13937, geographically in the township of Haldeman, is approved subject to the following conditions. That a registered survey for the severed parcel be submitted to the township, that a DWG file of the survey be provided in a format satisfactory to the township in Northumberland County, that a draft transfer for the severed parcel be submitted to the township, that the tax account for the subject property be paid up to date, that the severed parcel be deemed as a lot addition to the recipient property, and the applicant's lawyer submit an undertaking to register a consolidation on title giving effect to the lot addition, that the applicant's lawyer submit a legal opinion verifying that the lot addition land will merge on the title with the recipient parcel under the Planning Act, and that $300 be paid for the insurance of a certificate of official in accordance with the bylaw 782024 fees and charges bylaw. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Booth or Committee Member Booth, second by Committee Member Stover. Any further questions? All in favor? That motion's carried. The next one we have is for consent application Danforth 60 Holdings Incorporated, AH062025. And it's consent application for Danforth 60 Holdings, AH062025, on the 27th day of May 2025. Tracy, please go ahead.
Thank you. Through the chair. The purpose of the application is to sever a 0.41 hectare lot with an existing single detached dwelling, retaining a 5.62 hectare lot that is subject to the application for draft plan of subdivision. A copy of the severance sketch is provided in the report. The related draft plan of subdivision will be adjusted to reflect the removal of the lot should it be approved. The plan, including the proposed severed lot, consists of 12 lots for single detached dwellings. Review of the related draft plan of subdivision application included a number of technical studies, which are available in the planning department should someone have questions surrounding those specific studies. A report on the related draft plan of subdivision application will be reviewed at a council meeting today. The proposed severed lot has a frontage of 54.52 meters and a lot area of 0.41 hectares. And the remaining lands have a frontage of 25.3 meters to the north and then 46.57 meters to the south, and a lot area of 5.62 hectares. The subject property is located on the east side or northeast side of Old Danforth Road in the southeast area of Grafton. There's an existing single detached dwelling and accessory building on the property. There are single detached dwellings to the north, south, and west of the proposal, and there are lands proposed for residential to the east. The subject property is located within the hamlet designation. Section 2.3.1 of the PPS in particular pertains to the property. Settlement areas are intended to be the focus of residential development within municipalities. Settlement areas permit a mix of land uses, and development must be appropriate to the services available. Section 3.6.5 of the PPS permits partial services within settlement areas to allow for infilling and minor rounding out of existing development, provided site conditions are suitable for the long-term provision of those services with no negative impact. Technical studies had been submitted in support of the related draft plan of subdivision, which demonstrated that private septic systems can be accommodated with no negative impacts. Therefore, the proposal is consistent with the PPS. The Northumberland County official plan designates the property as rural settlement area. Policies support lot creation in that designation. Therefore, the proposal maintains the intent of the county's official plan. The Elmwood Calderman official plan designates the property as hamlet, which does permit a mix use character of the settlements. They play an important role as residential, commercial, and social centers within the township. Permitted uses include residential, commercial, small-scale industrial, parkland, recreation, and institutional uses. While the predominant form of new residential development should generally take place by plan of subdivision, there are opportunities for residential lot creation through the consent process. The minimum size for a new lot in a hamlet designation is 0.4 hectares. The severed lot is consistent with the lot area policy contained in the hamlet designation. Section 4 of the official plan contains the land division policies. A plan of subdivision is not required for this application as it is proposing one new residential lot. Applications for plans of subdivisions are required where there's the proposed creation of 5 or more lots and development of internal services such as roads. The official plan permits the creation of this lot. The lot does have frontage on a year-round municipally maintained road, which is Old Danforth Road. Like the PPS, the official plan policies require lots to be appropriately sized to accommodate the services. Grafton is serviced by municipal water as per the justification report prepared by Clark Consulting. That water supply is available for this residence. The individual septic system will be retained. In terms of the zoning bylaw, the property is currently zoned development, and the purpose of that zone is to protect parcels of land with development potential from fragmentation and unorderly development. The proposed severed lot would would be proposed to be rezoned Hamlet residential, which permits the existing use of the single detached dwelling on a 0.4 hectare lot. The proposed severance meets the rest of the regulations of the Hamlet residential zone. A rezoning will be required to rezone it from development. A number of departments and agencies were circulated. There were no concerns noted from the Public Works and Building departments. Northumberland County advised that there's no adverse impacts on county roads or infrastructure, and they have no objection to the application subject to satisfying conditions to address the existing sewage system and provision for mailbox in the related subdivision. That comment has been addressed through the draft plan of subdivision, so there isn't a condition proposed at this time for the mailboxes through this application. Lower Trent is the opinion that the application is consistent with section 5.2 of the PPS. It's been demonstrated that there's no development proposed within the floodplain. Part 6 of the Conservation Authorities Act and Ontario Regulation 4124 applies to the retained lands due to the presence of wetland and floodplain just in the very south east corner of the proposal or the retained lands, which have been reviewed through the development application. They have no objections to the approval of this application. The school board did not have any concerns with the proposal, and no comments were received from the balance of the circulated agencies. Notice of the application was circulated to owners within 60 meters of the property, and a sign was posted. No comments were received from the public up until this point. The proposed lot creation is in the rural settlement area of Grafton. The applicable policies permit the lot creation, provided it has access to municipal water and year-round maintained road. The applicant provided an engineering opinion indicating that the proposed severance will not have an impact on the engineering design of the related draft plan of subdivision application. Technical studies have been submitted in support of that application. As part of the draft plan of subdivision, the applicant will be asked to provide sidewalks along their frontage of Old Danforth Road. This will be completed along the frontage of this lot as part of the final approvals for that development. A condition of approval is included to secure for adequate right-of-way width to address the road, ditch, and sidewalk requirement. Since the writing of the report, the applicant had been in touch and to point out some concerns with the conditions. So I have provided revised conditions to the secretary, the planning coordinator. So she'll include those in the minutes, and I can pass those on to the deputy mayor to read out. But I can note that there was a condition for cash in lieu of parkland and development charges. Because the house is existing, we typically wouldn't ask for that. So I have removed those conditions from the proposal. And there had been a condition speaking to the community mailbox that has been confirmed with Canada Post that it would be included within the road right of way for the proposed subdivision. So the conditions of approval for the draft plan of subdivision will adequately address that item. And the comments for the septic review through the county has been modified. They did provide information on the location of that system through the technical reports for the related subdivision. So we will follow up with the county staff with the revised condition 7 to make sure that they're satisfied, and I'll pass those on to the deputy mayor, the committee member. I think you did declare on this one. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't clear this one, clear on subdivision.
Oh,
I'm not on this.
oh, I see. Okay. Apologies. Okay.
Okay, you have any questions for Tom? Yes, go ahead.
I should declare pecuniary interest. I thought we were talking about the one behind you. And
That-
it's the one, which one, is this one behind?
This is Old Danforth, so it's the 12 lot.
It is a 12 lot.
But it's the one lot.
Right, it's one lot that's coming out. Did you receive notice of this application in the mail? Okay, so you are within the circulated radius of this application? I can't suggest, you have to determine on your own.
And I'm fine. I don't have an interest on this one.
I don't.
Okay. So it is a public meeting, so we should see if there's members of the public that want to speak.
Members of the public, anybody interested in speaking to this?
Temperature to put that up to.
See, none, anybody on? Nobody's on the retreat here, yeah, they have to make a comment. Well,
Yes, Mayor, thank you. We reviewed.
The microphone, sorry. I can't hear you.
Okay, yes, very briefly, we have reviewed the revised conditions and we are satisfied with those conditions. So I think that's enough to be said at this time. If there are any questions, both Adrian and I are here to answer them.
hey, I'm gonna be,
John? Sorry, Mayor, through you, I did have a couple of concerns. All right, I guess my biggest concern is traffic flow coming in and out of this development. Where's it going to come from? Is it gonna come down through town past the schools, down to this area, or is it gonna come in the old unassumed road?
I think I should clarify. We're not dealing with the subdivision, we're dealing with property that was in the subdivision that's being requested to take it out. Is that correct?
That's correct. We have an item on the subdivision in the council meeting portion of this meeting today.
Yep. No, that's fine. Yep.
It is recommended that the land division committee of adjustment for the corporation of the town of Development Hall, and that falls. That application AH 062025 by Danforth 60 Holdings Incorporated to sever a parcel of land for the creation of a new hamlet residential lot in concession A, part of lot 22 geographically in the township of Paulding, is approved subject to the following conditions. That a registered survey for the severed parcel be submitted to the township. In addition to the registered survey, a geo-reference DWG file of the survey be provided in a format satisfactory to the township and Northumberland County. That the application's engineer confirm that the old Danforth Road right-of-way is of adequate width to include a minimum 20-meter right-of-way with an 8.5 minimum curb to curb width, with ditching and a sidewalk on the east side. Should the right-of-way width be deficient, a road widening shall be depicted on the survey and conveyed to the satisfaction of the township at no cost. That a draft transfer for the severed parcel be submitted to the township. That the tax account for the subject property be paid up to date. That a zoning bylaw amendment be in effect for the severed and retained parcels pursuant to the Planning Act. That the applicant satisfies that the requirements of the County Inspection Service Division Financial and otherwise with respect to the existing septic services and illustrate the location of the septic system on a copy of the final survey of the consent. And that $300 be paid for the issuance of the certificate of official in accordance with bylaw 78-2024 fees and charges. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Booth. Any further questions or comments? All in favor? That's carried. Next, we have item 7. 7.3. There we go. And this applicant is for consent Kevin Burks, AH 072025 and AH 082025. And this is for planning number 2025-29, application for consent from Kevin Burks. You ready, Trace? Please go ahead.
Thank you. Through the chair, the application is proposing the creation of two residential lots. They are both 0.61 hectares in size, retaining a 10.38 hectare lot with a single detached dwelling and accessory structures. Currently, the subject lands consist of two parcels, both owned by the applicant. A previously approved consent B 1088 is proposed to be canceled, so the retained lands will be located within one lot. The subject property is located on the north side of Macklin Road at the intersection of Macklin Road, George Road, and Fanning Road. It contains the Burnley Creek Mid-River provincially significant wetland and field verified wetlands, primarily along the perimeter of the property in the north end. Surrounding land uses are a mix of residential and agricultural uses. There are livestock barns located at 5117 Macklin Road and 5225 Macklin Road. There is a single detached dwelling and accessory buildings on the property. 4 horses graze the subject lands but are not housed in a barn. A portion of the property is cleared with forested and wetland areas in the north, east, and west. The subject property is designated rural, environmental, and provincially significant wetland. Section 2.5 and 2.6 directs development to rural settlement areas. Consideration is given to locally appropriate rural characteristics, the scale of development, and provision of appropriate service levels. Development that can be sustained by rural service levels should be promoted. The proposed severed and retained lots are appropriately sized to accommodate private services having frontage on Fanning Road, which is a year-round municipally maintained road. The creation of lots are to comply with minimum distance separation formula. Calculations were performed for the livestock facilities at 5117 and 5225 Macklin Road. The required setbacks are 99 meters or 325 feet and 93 meters or 305 feet. The proposed severed lots are both outside of the MDS setback requirements for those livestock facilities. Due to the close proximity of the lots to the provincially significant wetland and evaluated wetlands, section 4.1 requires evaluation to determine that there will be no negative impacts on natural features or ecological functions. Section 4.6 does not permit development or site alteration on lands containing archaeological resources or areas of archaeological potential unless the resources have been conserved. Due to the provincially significant wetlands and Burnley Creek tributaries in proximity, there is a potential for archaeological resources. Section 5.2 natural hazards apply to the application. Development shall be directed outside of those hazard lands adjacent to a river, stream, and small inland lake system which are impacted by flooding hazards or erosion hazards. The county's official plan designates the property as rural areas and environmental protection. The county supports lot creation in rural areas. However, with the environmental protection areas Permitted uses are limited to forestry and uses connected with conservation. Development would be prohibited in the provincially significant wetlands, and they should have regard for the following considerations. Natural heritage, where development is considered in proximity to a PSW, the applicant should complete an environmental impact study. And in terms of archaeology, it appears the property is undisturbed and contains wetlands. Therefore, the county is recommending an archaeological assessment to be submitted to the Ministry of Citizenship and Multiculturalism. The township's official plan designates the property as rural, environmental protection, and provincially significant wetland. Section 5.12.3 states the boundaries of the environmental protection designation are approximate, and it is the intent of that the precise location be delineated in the implementing zoning bylaw at the time of submission of the development application. Based on a wetland evaluation conducted by Lower Trent, the location of the proposed lots are to be outside of the wetland features and are therefore completely within the rural designation. The rural designation is applied to the lands that are of marginal value for agriculture and have potential for non-agricultural development. Permitted uses include residential uses, and it does permit lot creation in that designation. As in accordance with the PPS, our official plan also requires minimum distance separation to be adhered to, and the calculations show that the lots are located outside of those setback requirements. The property is designated rural, environmental, and provincially significant wetland on the township's official plan mapping. Section 5.12.8.1 requires an environmental impact study for development within 120 meters of a provincially significant wetland. The applicant has been advised that a scoped environmental impact study will be included as a condition of approval. Section 7.4.2 indicates archaeological potential shall require an assessment to be undertaken by an archaeologist as a condition of approval for development. Provided the environmental impact study and archaeological assessment is included as conditions of approval, the proposal is consistent with the provincial planning statement and conforms with the county and township's official plan. In terms of the zoning bylaw, the property is zoned rural. That zone is applied to areas where the existing single detached dwelling is located, as well as the proposed lots. The minimum lot area is 5 hectares and the lot frontage is 60 meters. The proposed severed lots are 0.61 hectares and have a frontage of 45 meters. Therefore, rezoning to rural residential is required to address the lot area and frontages. The field verified wetlands would be proposed to be placed in the environmental protection zone. A number of departments and agencies were circulated. Public Works and the Building Department have no concerns with the proposal. The county indicated that provided the applicant demonstrate they will not create an adverse impact on the natural heritage features, they have no objection to the proposal. They did recommend the archaeological assessment as well. The Lower Trent Conservation Authority advised that the proposal is consistent with Section 5.2. They noted that permits would be required in the areas subject to their regulatory areas and asked that the field verified wetlands be placed in the restrictive zoning. They had no objection to the approval of the application. Alderville First Nation noted that they have concern with the potential impacts to the provincially significant wetland and responded that the applicant we had responded to them that the applicant is aware of the need for the environmental impact study, which would be included as a condition of approval, and no additional comments were provided after that confirmation. The Mississauga of Scugog Island First Nation noted concern with the cumulative impacts of the potential loss of ecologically and bioculturally significant wetlands. Township staff clarified the proposed lots were in excess of 30 meters from the limits of the provincially significant wetlands and the field verified wetlands, and those would be placed in an environmental protection zone. The MSIFN staff acknowledged that they are supportive of staff's recommendations based on that clarification. Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board had no concerns and no comments were received from the balance of the circulated agencies. The application was circulated to all property owners and a sign was placed on the property, and the circulation area was 60 meters of the subject property. No comments had been received from the public to date. The proposed severed lots are in the rural part of the municipality with frontage on Fanning Road, which is municipally maintained. A rezoning is required to address the lot area and frontage, which does not conform to the rural zone. And the zoning would place the environment or the wetlands into an environmental protection zone. The applications are consistent with the provincial planning statement and maintain the policy set forth in the county and township's official plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Any questions or comments from council members? Go ahead, pardon me. Go ahead, Member O'Neill.
Yes, I'm just picking up on the comment from the Mississauga Nation and then asking a question related to what uses would be allowed on the retained portion then if would it continue to just be basically protected land?
Yes, so through the chair in the council portion of this meeting, we do have a rezoning application that we're going to review, but the wetlands would be placed in an environmental protection zone, so that would have very limited uses. Those areas are not typically used at this point for agricultural because of the wetland features that are there. The balance of the retained lands would remain in the rural zone. And that would allow for the house and the agricultural uses that are in place to continue, which have been located outside of those wetland features anyway. So we'd just be formalizing the zoning to recognize those wetland features.
Any other questions or comments? Members of the public, do you have any questions or comments regarding this application? Thank you. Is the applicant here or representative of the applicant? Would you have a comment, sir? Okay, thank you. I'm going to read the recommendations then. That applications AH 072025 and AH 082025 and request to cancel consent application B1088 by Kevin Burks to sever 2 parcels for vacant rural residential lots in concession 10, part lot 14, part 1, RP 39R 3004, and concession 10, part lot 14, RP 39R 3004, parts 2 and 3, geographically in the township of Haldeman, are approved, subject to the following conditions: that a registered survey for the severed parcels be submitted to the township. In addition to the registered survey, a geo-reference DWG file of the survey be provided in a format satisfactory to the township and Northumberland County. That a draft transfer certificate of official for the severed parcels and certificate of cancellation be submitted to the township. that tax account for the subject property be paid up to date, that a scope natural environment impact study be submitted, and that the recommendations be implemented to the satisfaction of the Township of Alma-Calderman and the Lower Trent Conservation. Prior to any site alteration or ground disturbing activities, an archaeological assessment be carried out by an archaeologist licensed under the Ontario Heritage Act and submitted to the Ministry of Citizen and Multiculturalism. A letter issued by the Ministry of Citizen and Multiculturalism indicating that the report has been entered into the Ontario Public Register of Archaeological Reports must be provided to the township, and the recommendations are to be implemented to the satisfaction of the Secretary Treasurer, Land Division Committee or Committee of Adjustment. That a zoning bylaw amendment be in effect for the severed parcels pursuant to the Planning Act. That $12,796.34 development charges for each severed lot be paid to the Township of Alma-Calderman. That cash in lieu of parkland to be paid to the Township of Alma-Calderman at a rate of 5% of the value of the land the day before approval was granted. The value of the land is to be determined by a certified appraisal or sale price of the land provided it occurs within 12 months of the approved date. And number 10, that $300 for the issuance of the certificate of official and $300 for the issuance of the certificate of cancellation be paid in accordance with bylaw 78, 2024, fees and charges bylaw. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Any further comments or questions? All in favor? That motion is carried. There are no minor variances. So I'm going to ask for an adjournment, a motion to adjourn, that the Committee of Adjustment / the Land Division Committee meeting held on May 27th, 2025 be adjourned at 10:17 a.m. Could I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Committee Member Booth, seconded by Committee Member Ainsworth. All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you. And then we'll go back to we will reconvene to a municipal planning / regular council meeting. And the recommendation is that the committee or the council of the Township of Alma-Calderman, being a land division committee, the Committee of Adjustment, reconvene to the municipal planning regular council meeting at 10:17 a.m. Did I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stolberg. All in favor? That motion is carried. And we're going into a public meeting now, and we'll need a resolution to do that. It is recommended the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Alma-Calderman enact as follows. The council go into a public meeting under Section 34 of the Planning Act at 10:18 a.m. on May the 27th, 2025. Mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor O'Neill, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. All in favor? Motion's carried. And the first one we're going to discuss today is a zoning bylaw amendment for Kevin Burks, Z042025. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you through the chair. This application is to amend the parcels of land owned by Kevin Burks, which were just heard through the Committee of Adjustment for the creation of 2.61 hectare lots, retaining the 10.38 hectare lot with the house and accessory buildings. The application was required to obtain rezoning to address the lot area and frontage for the creation of those lots. For details on the site characteristics policies, agency and public circulation. I've referred to the land division, the consent report PLN 2025-29 for the applications AH 07 and AH 08 2025. The area where the lots are proposed are zoned rural. The zone is also applied to the area where the existing single detached dwelling is located. The rural zone requires a minimum lot area of 5 hectares and a minimum lot frontage of 60 meters. The proposed severed lots are 0.61 hectares and the frontage is 45 meters. Therefore, the rezoning is required. And as per the recommendations of the Lower Trent Conservation Authority, and based on the policies in our plan and the the provincial planning statement, the field verified wetlands will be placed in a restrictive environmental protection zone. The proposed severed lots are located in a rural part of the municipality, as noted, and are appropriately sized to accommodate the private servicing and are compatible with the surrounding land uses. The proposed severed lots, as noted, do not comply with lot area and frontage, therefore the need for the rezoning. The application is consistent with the PPS and maintains the intent of the townships and county official plan. Therefore, we're recommending approval. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Any questions or comments from council? Seeing none, this is an opportunity as well for the members of the public to make a comment on this application. And I see none. So we'll move on to this. Is there anyone on the line that wishes to make a comment on this application? Seeing none, we'll move on to 1003, which is a zoning bylaw amendment for James Brower. Is that correct? Yeah. So Tracy, do you want to take us through this?
Thank you. The subject lands that are known as the, the name is escaping me, Grafton Creekside Golf Course, are currently zoned environmental protection exception number 2, which prohibits the establishment of a new building and expansions to existing buildings. The zoning was established due to the location of the site within the floodplain. And an application was received to rezone the property in April of this year. A related site plan application was also received, and the purpose is to rezone to permit the construction of a new 2-story clubhouse, approximately 232 meters square, with an approximate 74.32 meter square deck. The new clubhouse is proposed to replace an existing 1.48 approximate clubhouse and deck. And the proposal includes the following uses: a restaurant with patio seating, 24 inside and 16 outside, a golf simulator to be used in the off season, an office, 3 guest suites on the 2nd floor, and outdoor events, for example, weddings with a maximum of 100 guests. Events will not occur at the same time as patrons are using other facilities on site. The applicant had numerous discussions with township and county and Lower Trent staff since December of 23. They were made aware of the need to determine the existing floodplain location, identification of wetlands, and assess archaeological potential due to proximity of wetlands and a water course. They have submitted a floodplain assessment and an environmental impact study. A stage 1 and 2 archaeological assessment was just received yesterday. In April, the applicant received approval from Lower Trent Conservation Authority's hearing board to place fill on the site to support the construction of the clubhouse. LTC staff issued permit a permit for the completion of those works, which will bring the footprint of the clubhouse outside of the floodplain. The subject property is located on the south side of Shelter Valley Road. A large portion of the site has already been developed as a recreational site with a clubhouse and seasonal 9-hole golf course. There's an existing gravel driveway and parking area. There's several storage structures located around the periphery and parking and clubhouse areas. There is a septic bed present. The newer, larger septic bed at the northwest of the existing clubhouse is expected to accommodate the proposed expansion. Portion of the properties are impacted due to the presence of Shelter Valley Creek, the floodplain, and wetland features. With regards to this proposal, the floodplain is the most restrictive feature. The entirety of the subject lands are within Lower Trent Conservation's regulated area. The subject property is designated Environmental Protection Special Policy Area 51213-1 in the township's official plan. The rural designation applies to lands subject to this application that are outside of the floodplain and wetland features. Section 2.5 and 2.6 of the PPS pertain to this property. Promoting diversification of economic base and employment opportunities through goods and services is promoted. Permitted uses include resource-based recreational uses. Section 4.1 notes that natural features shall be protected for the long term. Development is not permitted in wetlands, and when adjacent to the features, their ecological function is to be evaluated. An environmental impact study has been prepared to address potential in relation to the proposed clubhouse. Section 5.2.2 and 5.2.3 of the PPS requires development to be directed away from hazardous lands and floodways. All development and site alteration is not permitted. However, the LTC hearing board directed staff to issue a permit which will permit filling to ensure the proposed clubhouse is located outside of the flood hazard. Section 4.6 does not permit development and site alteration on lands containing archaeological resources or areas of archaeological potential unless they have been conserved. Due to the proximity of the Shelter Valley Creek, an assessment is required in accordance with the criteria for evaluating archaeological potential provided by the Ministry of Tourism, Culture, and Sport. Provided the applicant conducts the work subject to the Lower Trent Conservation Authority permit and addresses archaeological potential, the proposal will be consistent with the provincial planning statement. The Northumberland County official plan designates the property as rural area, which permits a variety of land uses such as recreational, resource-based activities, and recreation and tourism uses within rural areas. Recreation and tourism, including golf courses, are permitted, provided the development will not create a negative impact on the natural heritage features and ecological functions. The township's official plan designates the property environmental protection special policy area 5.12.13.1. This policy permits the golf course. However, it stipulates no new buildings or additions on existing buildings shall be permitted. Development is also subject to site plan control. There is an existing site plan approval on the site, and the applicant has submitted a site plan application to recognize the current proposal. The policies for environmental protection in Section 512 state that it is applied to environmentally sensitive lands with flood susceptibility, poor drainage, organic soils, erosion-prone soils, or steep slopes. This designation includes watercourses and wetlands. Placing a fill is not permitted unless authorized by the Conservation Authority where their regulations apply. Delineation of the boundaries of the environmental protection designation are approximate and will be delineated in the implementing zoning bylaw. Once the applicant satisfies the approved permit from the Lower Trent Conservation Authority, the lands approved to be filled would be considered to be within the rural designation. Permitted uses in the rural designation include agricultural uses, agricultural related uses, on-farm diversified uses, small-scale commercial and industrial uses which serve the rural economy, and farm and non-farm related residential uses. Section 7.4.2 indicates that the sites with archaeological potential shall require an assessment, which the applicant has undertaken. The proposal maintains the general intent of the county and all Illinois official plan policies. Subject property is currently zoned environmental protection exception number 2. Therefore, the property requires a rezoning to permit the construction of the new clubhouse, as the existing zone prohibits new buildings due to the location in the floodplain. Recreation commercial exception number 13 with a holding symbol is proposed to be applied to the area of the subject property that will not be constrained by the setback to the floodplain and required setbacks to wetlands, water courses, and butternut trees identified by the environmental impact study. The area to be filled in accordance with the Lower Trent's permit and the grading plan is also included in the report. The proposed zone will be applied to the area proposed to be developed, and the balance of the subject property will remain in the environmental protection number 2 exception zone. The holding provision is proposed to ensure the Lower Trent Conservation Permit requirements are completed to their satisfaction and the applicant has entered into a site plan agreement. The review of the site plan application will address detailed comments from departments and agencies that are technical in nature. Planning staff is proposing exceptions to be included in the RC-13 H zone to reduce the size of parking spaces from 3 meters by 6 meters to 2.75 meters by 5.75 meters, and a regulation be included to permit a 4.5 meter one-way aisle between parking spaces. This will free up space to assist in containing the parking requirements within the already developed parking area. The area is very limited due to the constraints of the natural heritage features and flooding on site. The application was circulated to a number of departments and agencies. No concerns were identified from Public Works. The building department will continue to review the proposal through the site plan and building permit processes. County staff had no objection to the proposal, provided it is carried out in accordance with the floodproofing and regulatory standards set out by Lower Trent. Inspection services require engineered servicing details, which can be addressed through the site plan application. The county has requested a road widening and daylight triangle for County Road 2, which will be addressed through the site plan application. And that application is continuing to be reviewed, and an entrance permit will be required from them to remove an access that is on County Road 2, which again will be addressed through site plan. And details on the septic system that is in place will need to be provided by the applicant to inspection services to demonstrate that it will accommodate the proposed development. The Lower Trent Conservation Authority advised the proposal currently is not consistent with Section 5.2 of the PPS, specifically site alteration in the floodplain. However, they acknowledged that the hearing board has permitted the permit to undergo the site preparation and fill permit to support the demolition and reconstruction of the clubhouse. The permit application was determined to be consistent with or conform to the tests of the Conservation Authorities Act. Site alteration within the floodway will bring the proposed structure outside of the floodway. They also do not object to the placement of the holding symbol to implement the permitted site preparation and fill placement prior to issuing the permits. It was noted the application had proposed additional works on a site plan drawing that was circulated. Planning staff have since confirmed with the application that they would not be permitted to extend into the wetland buffers. They will be proposing to contain their parking within the already developed parking areas to avoid those encroachments into those features. The applicant will adjust their drawings through the site plan process. It is the opinion of the Lower Trent that until the permit is completed, that the section 5.2 of the PPS has not been demonstrated. The Conservation Authority's regulatory area does apply to the property, therefore permits are required from their agency. And they have noted that the application is subject to the site plan control and they are accepting of the holding symbol. The additional development activities would not be proposed within the wetland in accordance with the recommendations of the environmental impact study. Therefore, the development will have to be consistent with those recommendations. And we will continue to work on those requirements through the site plan process. Alderville First Nation had asked that the proponent advise when they expect to be engaged in the archaeological assessment and look forward to working with them on that. Staff will send a copy of that document to them. Mississaugas of the Scugog Island First Nation had requested copies of the site plan, environmental impact study, and floodplain assessment. They also requested the archaeological assessment once it is drafted, and we will forward that to them. Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board had no concerns and no comments were received from the balance of the circulated agencies. The applicant has submitted, as noted, the environmental impact study and floodplain assessment. There are a number of recommendations that were proposed that will be addressed through the site plan agreement. The applicant's environmental impact study consultant has since sent some information that will modify the recommendation for construction during the breeding season. So that will be addressed through the site plan agreement. The constraints that were identified through the assessment have been included in the report, and the zoning is consistent. The proposed zoning bylaw is consistent with those recommendations. The floodplain assessment was prepared by Jewel Engineering, delineating the flood hazard limits for the 100-year flood event. It was recommended that the final floor elevation of the building be 0.3 meters above the storm event. And the floor of elevation is provided within the grading plan. So the proposed zoning limits accommodate the area to be graded to meet those requirements. Notice was provided to all registered property owners within 120 meters of the property, and signs were posted on site. Staff have not received any comments from the public to this point. Provided the clubhouse location is filled to meet the requirements of the LTC board approved permit, the application is consistent with the provincial policy statement, the provincial planning statement, and meet the intent of the county and township's official plan. In addition to the zoning bylaw amendment, the site plan approval process will address technical requirements identified by departments and agencies. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Are there any questions or comments from members of council? Councillor Ainsworth, go ahead, please.
Through you, Mayor. Just for information purposes, could we address the county's request for road widening and what all that means and what it would mean for the owner also? because it is 18.25 meters, which is 60 feet from the center of the road, so I'm not sure if that's going to encroach on the golf course or not.
Thank you through the mayor. Through development applications, road authorities will identify areas where a road width may be deficient. So that way, through the approval processes, and this would be addressed through the site plan portion of the review, it would be determined whether the road width is sufficient to accommodate the road needs. County Road 2 is a higher ordered road, so the road width needed would be wider than a local road with traffic that's not as great. So through development applications, we have the ability to make sure we have those road widths for future upgrades. So in order to determine that, it would be confirmed through a surveyor to see if the road width is available, and if there's not enough road width available, a road widening would be asked for as a condition of approval for the site plan application. And that is a typical standard that's asked for.
Thank you, Tracy. Mike, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, I do, Mayor. So would it be possible to know if that 18.25 meters are going to encroach on the golf course? And if so, could the county look on the other side of the road if they need space to move the highway up?
I'd have to follow up with the county on that. Typically, it's measured from the middle of the road so that the width is equally distributed. Especially where you already have an existing intersection, you're not going to be wanting to have the road shifting from one side to the other. The facilities need to accommodate on equally on both sides, the ditching requirements and the space for utilities. I've seen requests for road widenings, and it's oftentimes confirmed that there's enough width. In some cases, it may be a matter of a few meters width, but I wouldn't expect it to be extreme widths that would encroach vastly into the property. The roads are already quite wide in that area, so until we had confirmation from a surveyor, it's hard to know what impacts, if any, there would be.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Through you, Mayor Lobel. Madam Planner, I just wonder too, there's a big bridge there in that area. And I just wonder how all that would come into play. So I'm hoping that the width is there because that would be very costly. I just don't know how that would all turn out. So that'd just be my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councilor O'Neill, go ahead.
And mine is a comment. So this is definitely an interesting and challenging piece of property to work with. And I really want to thank the property owners, our planning staff, and the other agencies for coming up with a solution that looks like it's feasible. And I'm particularly interested that part of the solution included raising the level of the floor for to prepare for a potential flood. So interesting piece in front of us, and I thank everyone who's worked to get us this far.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments from council? Go ahead, Councillor Ainsworth.
Through you, Mayor, just another question. What is the request for a 9 meter by 9 meter daylight triangle at the intersection of County Road 2 and Shelter Valley Road? What does that mean?
So again, through the mayor, that's typically part of the road allowance. Where you have a road, they typically will protect for the visibility to go around an intersection. So depending on the road type, the measurements of a visibility triangle will vary so that it would restrict the road authority would have that safe portion for visibility so that there wouldn't be development obstructing views around a significant intersection.
Okay, thank you.
And would you say what would all be there?
It's quite possible that they're already there. It looks like the angle, there is an angle at the property line on the south end, so they may very well be there already, but we would have to verify that through the site plan process.
Does the members of the public have any questions or comments regarding this application? Yes. Ms. Wilson, come on up to the chair.
Thank you. Jean Wilson, here representing the Fairview Cemetery Board. Our only question was where the entrance to this facility is going to be. If it's the existing entrance or was there a plan for a new entrance and how that might impact the entrance to the cemetery, if so.
Thank you. Tracy, you want to respond to that, please?
Yes, through the mayor, the entrance is proposed to remain in the exact location that it is in now, which is quite a distance from the entrance to the cemetery.
And that's on Shelter Valley Road, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. Any other questions from the public? The applicant have any questions or comments? Okay. Seeing none, thank you, James. I'll read there is no resolution here, is there? I can lose then. Pardon me? Yeah. Is that the public, members of the public who are online, do you have any questions or comments regarding this application? Seeing none? Our next application is 10-4. 10-3, 10-4. No, there is no 10-4. So 10-4 is a motion to reconvene to a municipal planning regular council meeting. It is recommended that the council of the township of Allen-McCalderman act as follows, that the council of the township of Allen-McCalderman reconvene to the municipal planning regular council meeting at 10:46 a.m. I can move in a second. Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. All in favor? That's carried. Then we're going to move on to planning department reports. And our first one is rezoning bylaw amendment for Whispering Pines. PLN 2025-32 zoning bylaw amendment for Whispering Pines on the 27th day of May 2025. Go ahead, Madam Planner.
Through the mayor, thank you. Application Z18 was approved by council on May 28th, 2020. A holding symbol was applied to the zoning to ensure the applicant entered into a site plan agreement with the township. The condition of removal of the holding symbol identified by bylaw 55/2020 has been fulfilled by the applicant. The applicant has signed an agreement which will be registered on the title of the property and is enforceable. It establishes all current structures, future developments, and infrastructure on site. The agreement directs patrons to enter the facility from Mercer Lane and establishes expectations and insurance requirements related to the related use of adjacent unmaintained roads. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from members? Councillor O'Neill.
Through you, Mayor Logal, too, I'm going to guess the CAO on this one. When we were first elected, this was a very hot issue and we got a lot of phone calls about it. And now this is coming forward and I've not received any phone calls about it. And it doesn't appear staff has received any phone calls. So is this that things have been brought into and everything's being adhered to and so everybody's happy now?
Mr. CAO? Okay, Tracy, you want to comment on that?
Through the chair, so, I'm aware that there were some concerns over the, use of a driveway connecting the facility to another property. So we have had conversations with the applicant and, included a condition in the site plan agreement that traffic is to be, or sorry, the visitors are to be directed to the access from Mercer Lane and not through that driveway. I believe there had been some road works in the past year, where they had been utilizing that driveway. So we've clarified the appropriate entrance to be utilized. I believe there have been some other concerns which by law enforcement dealt with in regards to noise. There are provisions in the agreement that speak to noise as well. I think there were concerns over hours of operation. We did look at that, and unfortunately, the way the original zone provisions have been written, we are able to restrict seasonal use of the facility.
Thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead. Councillor
Through you, Mayor,
Ainsworth.
more of a comment. I want to thank staff for getting this done. Whispering Springs is one of our biggest tourist destinations for our township, and they've been in the area for 50 years with different projects that they had. So they're definitely a value to our township and for the tourism industry in here. So glad to see that this has all been fixed up, and glad to see that both sides give a little. Thank you.
Thank you. And I guess I'd like to comment on staff, all of staff, as well as the applicant, working together and getting this accomplished. I think it's great for the township and great for everyone involved. Any other comments? I'll read the resolution. That as recommended, the Township of Corporation of the Township of Allen McCalderman act as follows: that a bylaw be brought forward for council's consideration to approve as amended bylaw 192029 to remove the holding symbol in relation to application Z18. Could I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion's carried. The next applicant we have is proposal conditions of draft approval, plan approval, Hamlet Estates subdivision, Danforth 60 Holdings. And I'm going to step out of the chair for this one. Deputy Mayor Stover, can you?
Madam Planner, are you available to take us through this?
I am, thank you.
Thank you.
I just need to pull up a file. Okay. Thank you through the chair. An application for draft plan of subdivision approval was submitted to Northumberland County in June of 2022. For the original application proposed 11 lots for a stormwater and a stormwater management block for a pond and 2 internal roads. The proposed access to the subdivision is from Old Danforth Road, which is identified in the plan that is attached to the report. As part of the application, a number of technical documents were submitted for review, which included a traffic letter, planning justification report, environmental impact study, stormwater management plan, preliminary functional servicing report, hydrogeotechnical and geotechnical investigations, yes, and a nitrate impact assessment and stage 1 and 2 archaeological assessments. The nitrate assessment was submitted as an addendum to the reports to demonstrate the proposal can accommodate the additional lot that was proposed. The stormwater management facility has been designed to address the recommendations to add additional infiltration to offset any nitrate imbalances that would occur as a result of the proposed development. In terms of financial costs, the construction of the proposed subdivision will be at the expense of the developer. A subdivision agreement would be executed between the developer and the township outlining the financial and other obligations of the developer, including financial securities. The proposed sidewalk, internal roads, and stormwater management facility will be owned by the township, and the agreement would require securities for their completion to ensure they're constructed appropriately prior to assumption. There's no staffing implications related to this report. And again, as noted, in terms of legal, there will be a requirement for a subdivision agreement. The property is located on the northeast side of Old Danforth Road. There's an existing single detached dwelling on the property, which generally slopes south, and the northern portion of the property does rise from the main point of the property. As noted in the Committee of Adjustment portion of this meeting today, the owner submitted and was approved for a consent to sever off lot 1. So the draft plan will require revisions to address that approval. St. Mary's Catholic Church abuts the westerly property boundary or the northwesterly property boundary, and there's single detached dwellings located to the north and along Old Danforth Road frontage. There's a 26-hectare previously farmed parcel located to the east of the subject property, which is also subject to a proposed draft plan of subdivision application for about 64 lots. Grafton is an established designated settlement area and is the focus of community facilities in the southern portion of the township. The PPS identifies hamlets as being settlement areas and establishes settlement areas to be the focus of growth and development. Land use patterns within settlement areas shall be based on efficient use of the resources and optimized existing and planned infrastructure and public services facilities. Planning authorities shall support general intensification and redevelopment to support the achievement of complete communities, including planning for a range and mix of housing options and prioritizing planning and investment in the necessary infrastructure and public services facilities. The proposed subdivision will utilize the existing municipal water infrastructure, connect to the existing road network, and will provide planned and engineered development within Grafton, which is a settlement area, and it is consistent with the PPS. In terms of servicing, partial services are permitted within settlement areas to allow for infilling and minor rounding out, subject to suitable site conditions. A hydrogeologic hydrological report prepared by the applicant confirmed the proposed site is capable of accommodating the proposed development and would have no negative impacts on the surrounding land uses. An environmental impact study was prepared. No significant natural heritage features were identified on the subject property. There is a nearby wetland and water courses, and the boundaries were confirmed and ecological functions assessed. There was an assessment for species at risk and significant wildlife habitats. Mitigation measures that would prevent negative impacts from the proposed development are proposed. Removal of trees will be restricted between April 1st and September 30th to mitigate potential impacts on species at risk. A sediment and erosion control plan is recommended to protect the nearby wetlands and water courses, and there's no significant impacts expected to fish and fish habitat or the wetland. Stormwater management facility detailed design will need to incorporate the recommendations of the environmental impact study to manage runoff and impacts to the thermal regime of the water course and to minimize erosion. To address section 4.6 of the PPS, an archaeological assessment was prepared based on the small number of 19th century artifacts found and a high degree of disturbance across the site due to the grading of the house's septic bed. It was determined that no further cultural heritage value or interest would be found, so no further archaeological work was recommended. The proposal is consistent with the provincial planning statement. The county's official plan designates the property as a rural settlement area, and the policies contained in that plan state that those areas are the focus of growth. The proposed residential subdivision is consistent with that plan. Within the county's official plan, the property is designated hamlet, and it recognizes the mixed-use character of those settlement areas. Permitted uses include residential, commercial, small-scale, industrial, etc. Development is encouraged as a continuous extension of existing development. The proposed subdivision is located in the existing built-up area. Excuse me. The hydrogeological report was prepared to support the development density of 1.94 units per hectare. Lots vary in size from 0.25 hectares to 0.77 hectares. The policies state that lot sizes shall be generally 4,000 meters square. So 0.25 hectares is 2,500 meters square, and 0.77 is 7,700 meters square. The hydrogeological and geotechnical investigation supported the lots of that size. The water supply will be proposed to be connected to the existing Grafton municipal water system, and septics will be proposed. The hydrogeological and geotechnical investigation demonstrated the soil conditions are suitable for the private septic systems. A preliminary stormwater management plan was proposed, proposing a dry pond to address enhanced level of treatment for stormwater quality, and the drainage will be conveyed from that facility through the ditches to enhanced grass swales. The pond provides full quality or quantity control of the runoff, and a treatment train approach is followed by quality treatment using vegetated contact and enhanced swales for the dried pond. The site includes low-impact development strategies. They guide and make extensive use of techniques to preserve natural drainage features, adjust the layout of the site, reduce impervious areas, and take advantage of natural drainage. The pond includes additional infiltration to offset nitrate imbalance, and The infiltration was determined to provide direct benefit for nitrate dilution and the ancillary benefits of water balance. Erosion and sediment control are proposed to be provided during construction. The applicant will be required to provide 5% cash in lieu of parkland. There is no parkland proposed within this subdivision, given the small size. However, the development to the east is looking to add a park to that proposal. The proposal is consistent with the county and township's official plans. The subject property is currently zone development. The development zone acknowledges existing uses. However, it recognized the potential for development and will require a rezoning. And that will be a condition of draft plan approval. An exception will be needed to address the 2 lots that are below 4,000 meters square as the minimum standard for the Hamlet residential zone. A public meeting was held in September of 2020. A number of residents had comments at that meeting and followed up with correspondence. I believe there were about 6 residents in total. Traffic was one topic. There were concerns about the increased traffic and speeding issues on Old Danforth Road. There was advocation for automatic speed enforcement devices to be installed. Concerned about the intersection at Old Danforth and Station and blind spots at that location. Lack of sidewalks, the increased ratio of cars, the blind curve at Old Danforth in front of St. Mary's, and the intersection at Old Danforth and County Road 2. Concerns were addressed by the traffic letter, which concluded that the proposed development is expected to produce about 9 trips during the weekday morning peak hour and 12 trips during the weekday afternoon hours. The expected traffic was noted to not have a significant impact on the functionality of the existing road network. Sufficient sight lines are available at the proposed road access location. Therefore, no mitigation measures were recommended. The traffic report for the development to the east is currently under review, which is being peer reviewed by a consultant on behalf of the township. The proposed conditions of approval include provisions for sidewalk along Old Danforth Road and a pedestrian walkway in the form of additional paved and lined shoulder on Street A and Street B, which are internal to the development. The inclusion of the sidewalk on Old Danforth Road will partially address priority 4 recommendation that was noted in the traffic safety review for Grafton recently. The recommendation would, for that condition, is to include a 1.5 meter sidewalk along the frontage of the subject lands. And the owner would be responsible for that installation. In regards to the traffic safety review, the CAO recommended implementation of priority 1 items, which would address the concerns with pedestrian safety and sightline concerns where Lyle Street, Old Danforth Road, and St. Andrews Drive meet in the vicinity of the St. Mary's parking lot. And there had been also concerns about headlights from the proposed road shining into an existing house at 2218 Old Danforth Road. The applicant has agreed to construct a privacy fence between Street A and the established amenity area for that lot to address that concern. In terms of grading and stormwater management, there were concerns noted with the steep slope on the north side of the property and drainage from lot 12 onto abutting property owners and concerns with privacy due to the steep hill. The applicant had submitted proposed building placement plan, which is included as an attachment to the report, demonstrating adequate space outside of the sloped areas for the proposed dwellings and septic systems. Stormwater will need to be designed to direct any runoff from the lots to municipal outlets to ensure stormwater management will not impact adjacent properties. The preliminary stormwater management report ensures that the use of enhanced swales for quality treatment and a dry pond will be included. And prior to final approval, detailed engineering designs for stormwater management and grading and drainage will be required. The applicant has also agreed to plant trees on the west limit of Lot 12 to provide for privacy for lots located at 214 and 218 Old Danforth Road. There were concerns about natural heritage in terms of potential damage to the water course and the home for wildlife that was in existence. The environmental impact study had been peer reviewed by Cambium on behalf of the county, and as well as Lower Trent had done a detailed review of that report. The EIS indicated that there was limited areas of habitat and no species or nests were found during their survey works. There are recommendations to address the potential for a threatened bobolink and meadowlark in terms of restricting removal of trees between April 1st and September 30th. That will also help for protection of any bats that may be in the area. Sediment erosion control plans are required to protect for impacts of the neighboring wetland and watercourse. So there were no potential impacts identified in addition to those already noted. In terms of infrastructure, we heard that there were concerns that there wasn't enough access to sewer and water or a community benefit overall. There's a lack of amenities in the village. And there was an ask for parkland to be provided in all developments. In response to those concerns, the official plan and the county's official plan do designate Grafton as a settlement area, which means that it should be expected to be the area for focus of development. The Planning Act does allow for the acceptance of cash in lieu of parkland. Since the subdivision is relatively small, it's more appropriate to see the parkland be constructed in the proposal to the east and will require the cash in lieu requirement in lieu of land. It's also noted that there are a number of parks throughout the municipality. In Grafton, there's the Haldeman Arena Park, Nuwatan Nature Sanctuary is nearby, and there's a number of boat launches in the vicinity. The developments will be connected to municipal water, and there will be fire protection provided as a requirement. The Kawartha School Board indicated that the development will generate approximately 2 public school students and 1 secondary school student. And these students will be directed to the Grafton Public School, CR Grandma for French immersion and CCI. And there is residual capacity for those students. Other concerns were regarding streetlights being illuminating the sky. Those concerns will be looked at through the detailed design of the streetlights. Typically, detailed fixtures are submitted for approval. So we have reviewed the proposal, and with the approval of the severance, the lot that has been proposed to be severed will have to be removed from this plan prior to final approval. departments and agencies have reviewed the proposal as well as the public. It has been peer reviewed on behalf of the township for engineering design by DM Wills, and KBM had provided peer review comments on behalf of the county for the environmental impact study and the hydrogeotechnical and geotechnical investigations. Major issues identified through the review had been addressed. Therefore, conditions of approval have been proposed. The county is the approval authority, and they will be adding additional conditions to address other agency requirements as well as requirements that they may have. And the conditions of approval will be reinforced by the subdivision agreement. I had made some minor edits to the conditions that are attached to the report, and I have sent those to the clerk. There were some minor numbering issues, and then we had modified a condition that spoke to the turning circle. Street A will connect through to the proposed development to the east. Should that development not be constructed at the same time as this development, we'll need to secure for a turning radius at the terminus of Street A. So there is a condition required for that. Thank you.
All right, I actually have two questions. The first one is, you mentioned that this is an area for focus of growth. I'm not thrilled with that. Let's grow in our hamlet. We definitely want to be attracting working age and young families here. We've got our two schools that are there. We want to ensure that those two schools have lots of people attending them. And last week, it was last week when we saw our demographics and we looked at how top heavy we are in the 60 somethings and how low we are in the younger people. So, and I also, it was with the other portion of the development, but we had some seniors who were in the audience that day who were talking about wanting to see quadplexes in this area so that they could retire and stay in this community. So my first question is about, and I'm not sure who it's to, whether it's to our planner or to the property owner, but what's the discussions look like on duplexes, triplexes, and quadplexes rather than single family dwellings here?
The proposal is proposing single detached dwellings. There is an opportunity through the policies and the parent zone provisions that we have in place today, that once the zoning is in place and the proposal is developed, there's opportunity to include 2 units within the proposed single detached dwelling. So there could be 1 additional dwelling unit within the dwelling and another within an accessory structure. So if a homeowner who purchases one of the lots wants to include additional dwellings, there is that opportunity. The proposal in front of us does not propose quadplexes or fourplexes.
I do. I have a follow-up thought from that one, but I'll ask my question. The second was the traffic numbers that were used for Street A to indicate that it indeed was not going to be a problem. If that Street A is continuing through to, and I forget the number of others, I think it would be wise that the traffic numbers being used would reflect how many people from the full 2 developments we anticipate being at that intersection at peak times.
Through the chair, the proposal to the east has also prepared a traffic study, which would look at the full traffic impact of the street. That is recently been revised and submitted and is being peer reviewed. So that would be addressed through the final review of that application. Thank you.
It's just a follow-up to my first question then. if indeed our council wants to see more intensive development there, if indeed we want to see units that allow for seniors and are more affordable to families, which is often in a duplex or a triplex kind of setting, what should we as council be doing to make what we want happen actually happen? And I don't expect an answer now. I put that out there for consideration of our council and our planning team for future thinking.
Did you have anything you wanted to add, Madam Planner?
Thank you through the chair. I think, the proposal is not suggesting that. It's kind of later in the review process at this point. I think if you're looking to encourage that through development applications, networking with the developers early on would be something that I would suggest you could do. We will be doing an official plan update at some point in the future. There may be opportunity to look at secondary plan for Grafton that may have a better look at where we could incorporate some of those different forms of housing. It's a challenge in a rural setting where there is limited transit to accommodate higher order densities. So I think the fact that we have been very proactive with accessory dwelling units is positive, and just by looking at some of the permits for some of the newer developments, I have seen some of those units incorporated in the newer homes. So that's a positive. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Go ahead, Councillor Ainsworth.
Through you, Chair. Questions for Danforth Road. So back in the report, it talks about 9 vehicles in the morning and maybe 12 in the afternoon. So I'm assuming they're like construction vehicles?
Through the chair, that would be the expectation in the future once the subdivision is developed and being lived in. Like with traffic studies, there's certain ratios that they would calculate based on the number of homes and the expected number of residents. There's a lot of science behind it. I think that they would look at the number of people expected that would generate an average number of trips to and from a development. So that would be what would be expected in the future once people are living there.
Okay.
The traffic studies typically don't get into construction traffic. I do recall there was one concern about, how much construction traffic there will be. That is going to be expected, that there will be construction traffic when you have a development nearby, and subdivision agreements typically contain provisions for dealing with noise and dust associated with that. There will be some, impact with it that goes along with the nature of construction.
Follow up, Chair.
Go ahead.
So is it possible, because it's such a trafficked area there with the churches and the schools and the library, is it possible that they could exit and enter through the old Danforth Road if it could be brought up to some standards? If we go back to the report we had a few weeks ago about tractor trailers going down a road, one tractor trailer is equivalent to like 12,000 cars. So I'm assuming old Danforth Road will probably, when they put the sidewalks in, that part will be resurfaced at the same time.
Through the chair, I don't believe there were recommendations through this proposal to upgrade or requirements from any of the departments and agencies to upgrade. I know through the new Danforth proposal, there would be requirements to upgrade the portion that doesn't have a significant width. There's a portion that's unmaintained that extends to Purdy. So through that development, there are some upgrades required. And through this proposal, we are asking that sidewalks be included along their frontage. So that will be an improvement within the road allowance.
So could it be a consideration that they could use the old unassumed road that comes in off,
That might be down the road in the
Yeah.
second planning.
Just Sorry.
I'm just wondering, I guess my
Yeah.
concern is, we got children walking to school and stuff
Yeah.
that's going on there. Is there any kind of a safety officer on site when maybe the areas are heavy, kids going to school and getting off of school?
Through the chair, just to clarify, this is for construction traffic.
Yes.
We could consider looking at the construction routes through the detailed design review. I know that's something that has been done in other developments that I've worked on. I can speak with our public works manager to see if we need to identify the traffic routes and times.
Okay. Good,
Thank you.
I just had a few questions, Madam Planner. How long do you expect this planning stage to take before they have their shovels in the ground? Is that expected this year or next year?
Through the chair, I would expect that the design review will take some time and getting to the agreement portion. We may know more once we come back with an agreement. I do know the owner is in the audience. If I may ask for permission to have them clarify what their intentions are for timing for development.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To answer your question, we have started that process of looking at what the next step is going to be. It is our intention to hopefully progress to the design stage immediately upon being granted the approval from obviously the municipality and the county council. We've also had some preliminary discussions with the other development as we've needed throughout this process. And we've also had some initial conversations with some builders in the area in regards to moving to that next stage. So it is our intention to move quickly, but obviously we do have to go through the engineering process and detailed design, which also takes time and does require some approvals on your end as well.
Thank you. The other question, and everyone seems to have an issue with the traffic and in this area, it's a very condensed area. And this is obviously the first subdivision coming in on that road. How many feet of a sidewalk is this developer going to start putting in? Where would he stop and start? And we're just talking one side of the road. Is that correct?
That's correct. So I don't have the exact measurements, but it would be along the portion of the frontages that they own on Old Danforth. So it's primarily in the vicinity of the lot that was severed off. And there's a small portion of frontage in the vicinity of where the stormwater management block that would be connecting to the development to the southeast. So that developer will also be expected to provide a portion of the sidewalk. I do note that the sidewalk was noted in the Grafton Traffic Safety Report as a priority 4. So I think as these developments come on board, it'd be wise for it would likely be a public works project to start putting away funds through different budget processes to have the funds available to continue the completion of that project. There's 5 lots that are already in existing fronting onto Old Danforth Road that we would have to, as the municipality would have to plan for that project as well as along the frontage of St. Mary's. And I noted that there were improvements recommended in the priority 1 of that traffic safety for improvements to that intersection at where St. Andrews, Lyle, and Old Danforth meet, in addition to improvements with the parking lot area that would go a long way to, I think, addressing some of the residents' concerns that have been heard through these 2 development proposals.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions? If not, I will read the recommendation. It is recommended that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Alma Alderman enacts as follows. That report PLN 2025-33 be endorsed and submitted to Northumberland County Land Use Planning as the Township of Alma Alderman's response and proposed conditions of draft plan of subdivision D12 AH 2201 Danforth 60 Holdings. May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Thank you, Councillor Ainsworth. All in favor? Thank you. Oh, yes. Oh, from the,
Sorry,
mhm.
Deputy Mayor, just before you vacate a chair, could I
Yes.
put a motion on the floor for a 10-minute break, please?
Sure. We have a seconder for that. Thank you, Councillor Ainsworth. And we'll be back in 10 minutes, being, we have 10 minutes, the date, time. 11:40. Thank you.
All in favor?
We're all in favor. Thank you. That was a good point.
pardon me, 11-3. Roseneath General Store. And I see the applicants are here. So Tracy, why don't you go ahead and start this on this, please?
Good morning. So, this report is proposing to transfer a part 3 on a reference registered plan to the owner of 9132 County Road 45. It's the Roseneath General Store. Through their title search, their lawyer had discovered that this part hadn't been formally transferred, even though it's noted in the deed of the property. So it appears that there was something missed at some point in time to transfer those lands. So we're recommending that be done. The Public Works Manager did look at the property and had no concerns with that proposal. Thank you.
Any questions or comments from council to Tracy? Seeing none? Oh, go ahead, Councillor Ainsworth. Yes. Are you questioning Tracy or or just to debate? Okay, so I'll read the resolution then first, and then you can bring up your concerns. The resolution reads that the council approved the transfer of part 3 on register plan 39R876 to the owner of 9132 County Road 45, PIN number 511210157, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the necessary documents to complete the transfer. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Any questions or comments? Mike, go ahead.
Through you, Mayor. So first of all, I'd like to know, was this veranda put there prior to County Road 45 widening or after?
Through the chair, I would expect that it was constructed in like the 1800s. Just looking at the design of the building,
Yeah.
it's been a long established structure, so I would expect it would have been there prior to. The survey is quite old, so I would expect the survey would have been done probably around the time that lands were transferred from the responsibility of the MTO, because it would have been a highway at one point, to the county road. So it appears that it's a clerical correction that we're dealing with here. The intention is pretty clear that that part should have been part of the legal description through the deed. So we're just correcting a clerical item. Thank you.
Follow up, Mike.
Yes, through you, Mayor. So, we talk about insurance and the township only has to be 1% liable. So if the county road goes through that veranda, somebody hits that veranda, are we liable for it?
I can't answer that, Trace. Go ahead.
Through the chair, the roads, there's sufficient width for the roads to be accommodated. The veranda is not within the County Road 45 right away. The veranda is, it'd be third line. So it's within the township right of way, and our Public Works Manager had a look at it to see if there were any concerns with the transfer, and he didn't identify any issue with that. The traveled portion of the road is well outside of the location of where the porch is or veranda.
So the county has nothing to do with this at all.
They were
Consulted?
they were consulted and looked at it and had no issue.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mike. You got another one?
One last comment. So what is the future for this building? Is it going to be fixed up? People move into it, reestablished, or demolished?
Tracy, do you have any answer to that? I do.
Through the chair, the only knowledge I have is that it's been recently sold and I haven't been approached by the new owner. of the property to know what their plans are. It does have a commercial zone on the property, so it would be great to see it repurposed and revitalized. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Seeing none, Mike, you're finished?
Okay, yes.
Okay, all in favor? Motion is carried. We're gonna move on to, oh, I'm sorry. Well, you don't get a chance, yes. No, you're not actually permitted to speak. Okay. Okay,
Sorry,
yes, go ahead.
I could make a motion, though, that we do allow him to speak if he would like. Gives a seconder. Okay.
Joan, you can come on back. Okay, we're gonna move on into, planning bylaws. And our first one is bylaw number 42-2025, zoning bylaw amendment. It is recommended that council of the corporation of the township of Alma call them and act as follows. That bylaw 42-2025 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 19-2019, the comprehensive zoning bylaw be given a first, second, and third reading and finally pass this 27th day of May 2025. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Booth. Any questions? This is regarding fanning, I believe. All in favor? Motion is carried. Bylaw number 43-2025, zoning bylaw amendment Z05-2025. The bylaw 43-2025 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 19-2019, the comprehensive zoning bylaw, be given a first, second, and third reading and finally pass this 27th day of May 2025. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Bylaw number 44-2025, zoning bylaw amendment for Whispering Springs Z18. That bylaw 44-2025 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 19-2019. The comprehensive zoning bylaw be given a first, second, and third reading and finally pass this 27th day of May 2025. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Administrative reports. Oh no, I've got one left. Bylaw 45-2025. Can I be involved in that or not? Pardon me? Yeah, I know, but I got it for Grafton. Oh, this is Grafton Heights, yes. Sorry, thank you. Bylaw 45-2025, executive execute Grafton Heights amended subdivision agreement. The bylaw 45-2025 being a bylaw to execute an amended agreement for the Grafton Heights subdivision, be given a first, second, and third reading and finally pass this 27th day of May 2025. I get a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Any questions? Go ahead, Councillor O'Neill.
Just to confirm from my understanding, this is just around the surety bonds, none of the other components?
Yes, that's correct.
Further questions? All in favor? That's carried. We're going into administrative reports. Next, we have. Thank you, Alex and Vic.
Hello, Vic. Goodbye. Vincent, sorry.
Vincent. Human Resources, HR 2025-03. Huh? 21. Oh, I haven't got it. (13.1) is Haldeman Community Arena Complex Food Service Operator, PR 13 Haldeman Community Arena Complex Food Service Provider. 27th of May, 2025. Is recommended the council of the township of Alma, Haldeman enact as follows: that council receive report PR 2012513 Haldeman Community Arena Complex Food Service Operator for information. And that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute an agreement with Lassen Ladle for the provision of food services at the Haldeman Memorial Community Arena. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor O'Neill.
And Jeremy's not here, so I may not get an answer to this. What are the sort of parameters around the hours of operations?
I think Jeremy is on the line. If you have a
Okay.
question, Jeremy, are you on the line?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Did you hear the question?
Yes, I did through your Mr. Mayor. We haven't actually started negotiating an agreement yet with the Lassen Ladle. The hours of operation would be mutually agreeable between the township and the operator.
And is this for all year round, or is this just for the summer months?
This will be outdoors in the summer and indoor in the winter upstairs.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor O'Neill.
Just as a follow-up, at what point, like, what's the criteria that is going to be used for the parameters of the hours then?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the criteria would be a customer service focus.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Ainsworth.
Yeah, to you, Mayor. No, just a comment to say, thanks, Jeremy, for putting this together. It's going to be a great help for that area. And I'm sure all the participants down there is, it's long overdue. Good stuff. Thanks.
Okay. This is a 1-year agreement, or have we got to that detail yet?
This is a 1-year agreement, just given the uncertainty of the complex and the facility and kind of the future short-term plans down there. So yes, 1-year agreement.
Good idea. Mike?
Through you, Mayor. So just a comment on that. I wonder, Jeremy, if it could possibly look at maybe like a 5-year deal, maybe once we figure out what's going on with the arena, because then if they're going to put money into it for equipment and stuff like that, it would be worth their while instead of a 1-year deal.
Comment?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, certainly we will have an option for an extension built into it, but not mandatory.
Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Further comments? All in favor? That motion's carried. Administrative reports. And our first one is regarding human resources, I believe. Right? And it's HR 202503, Human Resources Support. And at the May 13th meeting, the motion was deferred. And now it's recommended the council of the corporation of the township of Alma, Haldeman enact as follows: the council receive report HR 2025 Human Resources Support for information, and that council approve an additional $50,000 plus HST for HR support services from Doucette HR Consulting and Investigations for continuing union negotiations, and that bylaw be brought forward to amend bylaw 22025 to reflect the increased budget amount for HR Human Services report. So this has been already moved by Councillor Stover and seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Councillor O'Neill.
Are there any implications for us within the procurement policy on extending this to this consultant?
Is there any
implications within it to extend this to this consultant without, I mean, it makes sense logistically, but do we have to acknowledge that or anything that this, or does it align with our procurement policy?
You have a comment, CEO?
My only comment is that at every jurisdiction in the procurement policy, it is at the will of council.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion's carried. Audit planning report. It is recommended the council of the corporation of the township of Allen Alderman and act as follows. The council receive report PIN 2025-05 audit plan report for information, and that council authorize the mayor and deputy mayor to sign the acknowledgement section located on page 9 of the 2024 audit planning report. Could I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. And we have a bylaw 40-2025, amendment to bylaw 20-2025. Doucette HR Consulting and Investigations. It is recommended the council of the corporation of Township of Allen Haldeman and act as follows. The bylaw number 40-2025 being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 20-2025. Agreement with Doucette HR Consulting and Investigations be given a first, second, and third reading and finally pass this 27th day of May 2025. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Councillor Booth. Further discussion? Councillor O'Neill.
I'm reiterating my point that this is $100,000 that was spent now on this, and it did not go through our procurement policy. I respect that we have decided to do it as the will of council, but I am uncomfortable with doing that in the future.
Duly noted. Thank you. Any other further comments? All in favor? Motion is carried. Next, we're going into closed session. It is recommended the council of the corporation of the township of Allen Haldeman and act as follows. That the municipal planning / regular council meeting of May 27th, 2025 moved in a closed session under Municipal Act Section 239 to E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters being before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. That's regarding legal matters. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. All in favor? Motion's carried. We'll take a minute to set up the table so that we take off anybody that's on virtually, and then we'll come back to regular or closed meeting. Now that we're in open, council met in closed session and received a report for information on development legal matters. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Booth. All in favor? Motion's carried. Confirming bylaw number 462025. That bylaw 462025 being a bylaw to adopt the proceedings of the municipal planning / regular council meeting held on May 27, 2025, and to authorize its execution to be given a first, second, and third reading, and finally pass this 27th day of May 2025. Could I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Booth. All in favor? Motion's carried. That, and the final one is adjournment that the municipal planning / regular council meeting held on May 27, 2025 be adjourned at 12:25 p.m. Mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. All in favor? Motion's carried. Thanks, everyone. Good meeting.